Well, yesterday, Family Research Council, together with 46 religious liberty advocates from across various faiths and across the world, actually, sent a letter to President Biden calling on him to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, or what's known as a CPC. You know, as we've talked about on this program previously, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken had removed Nigeria last month from the list of CPCs, which includes countries whose governments have engaged in or tolerated particular severe violations of religious freedom. And he did so, quite frankly, without public explanation. In fact, it's unprecedented that we would see a country that has been engaged in such behavior be removed from this list. So we're now pressing on the Biden administration to right this wrong, especially given that the ongoing violence, killing, and displacement against Christians and others in Nigeria has only increased. Joining me now to talk about this is Lela Gilbert, Senior Fellow for International Religious Freedom here at the Family Research Council. Lela, welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So this was a wide array of groups that have come together to speak into this administration about Nigeria. Let's start first with the situation in Nigeria.
Right. Well, the situation has been terrible since around 2004, since I started looking at it. And I think you mentioned 2006 or 7 when you started looking at it. It has gotten progressively worse. People are slaughtered in massacres, Christians. I think they're assuming, calculating that between 50 and 70,000 Christians have been slaughtered in the last decade. And this is done by radical Islamists and by what they're calling bandits, which also happen to be affiliated with radical groups. So we have this problem where we've continued to write about this. We've continued to ask for some sort of response from our government. And finally, Secretary Pompeo, former Secretary of State, was able to create a country of particular concern designation last year, about a year ago. And it didn't even make it to a year before the Biden administration moved it aside with no explanation.
In full disclosure, as a member of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, this is a country that I in particular have been focused on adopting Leah Sharibu, who was a young 15-year-old Nigerian girl who was kidnapped. That's been almost 5 years ago. She is still being held by Boko Haram. This is unprecedented. The USERF Commission has been recommending since 2008 that Nigeria be recognized as a country of particular concern. It was, as you mentioned, it was the Trump administration in 2020 under Secretary Pompeo that recognition was finally made. So it's unprecedented that you would have a country that is being focused on as an abuser, systematically abusing individuals based upon their religious conviction or status, to be completely removed from a list, not put onto a second-tier list, which is called the special watch list, but completely removed. That's never happened before. Let me ask you this question. Over the last 12 months, since the designation, or I guess it's really 10 months since the last designation, has there been any improvement in the conditions in Nigeria?
I think it's gotten nothing but worse, and it's even gotten worse since the designation was removed. There have been several incidents of one entire church was kidnapped since then. There have been 20 people killed in massacres since then. It's only getting worse all the time, and there's never been any explanation why our country has been so unwilling to speak up about it.
Yeah, this is a concern beyond. I mean, the religious liberty issue is a major concern. The persecution and slaughter of Christians is a concern. But beyond that, the State Department should be concerned about this because Nigeria is the most populous African country. And we have a population that's almost evenly split between Muslim and Christian. And this, as you said, ongoing, which is now with this herder-farmer, you have the farmers who are primarily Christian, you have the herders who are primarily Muslim, who are now making farmers fearful to go into the fields. Right. This is what famines are made of.
No, that's right. And it's being excused as having to do with climate change rather than realizing that these are Fulani radicals. They're a tribal group that has been radicalized. The president of the country is a Fulani radical. His entire court, if you will, is part of that movement. So we have compromise there. Right. Boko Haram is a radical group that's affiliated now with ISIS. So on both sides, we have this radicalization and no addressing of it and excusing it, even at the State Department, as being about climate change and resources. And it's clearly, you don't slaughter people and cry out Allahu Akbar when you kill them because of climate change, at least in my estimation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated situation, but clearly, religion and the conflict there is playing into this, and you have a government that is refusing to prosecute, to protect, and they are complicit in the slaughter that is taking place. And it's unconscionable for this administration to remove them completely from the list of countries that we're watching because of this religious persecution.
You have to ask yourself why. You really do. There was a jailbreak within the last week that was a jail that was surrounded by police departments and federal offices. And it was almost entirely unresisted. And over 200 of these radicals were released, and now they're who knows where.
And there's also evidence that has surfaced that these groups, especially the Boko Haram, well-armed, well-equipped, actually being funded with material, provided material from other countries. Some reports suggest even Turkey is providing some materials there to Boko Haram and the radical Islamists. Yes. Lela Gilbert, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your efforts on behalf of religious freedom.
Thank you.